This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. It's kind of a light crowd today. In fact, crowd might be a bit of a stretch to describe this group, but it is the middle of summer, and everybody is scattered and going in different directions, as we have kind of already figured out. I want to share something with you, first of all, on my mind that I thought was just very insightful uh, when I read it earlier this morning. And then we'll go from there and talk about wins and issues and questions and all that good stuff. And anything else on your mind. But this is from the book of Proverbs in the Old Testament, and I made some notes. I do a little daily devotional. It's got big margins I can write in, and I want to share with you some of the notes I made this morning. I called it God's business and life planning advice, because I'm all about business planning. I do that all the time. I'm also about living by priorities, being very purposeful. And because I'm a teacher by nature, I love to write things. So I'm all the time making plans. I could show you my current business plan, which I started rewriting in Orlando in June. It's 6 pages long. It's just extremely detailed. So I love plans. So it was very interesting this morning when I was reading Proverbs 16. It's talking a lot about plans and making plans. And I'm just going to read it to you, and then I'll make a few points that I think you may find helpful. So here goes. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better to be lowly in spirit, along with the oppressed, than to share plunder with the proud. Okay, I'm going to mute everybody real quick. There we go. All right, here we go. Listen carefully. Whoever gives heed to instruction prospers, and blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord. The wise in heart are called discerning. Gracious words promote instruction. I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. Gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. There's a way that appears to be right, but in the end leads to death. Okay, so I realize that may have sounded like it was all over the place. It was actually, you had to, if you read it carefully, there's a real theme here. And it's about when we're planning our steps, when we're planning for the future, when we're determining our priorities and how we're going to implement them. And here's the points that I wrote down from it. First of all, God's advice on planning would be find a wise and gracious mentor. Did you hear that? Whoever gives heed to instruction is wise. So find a wise person to guide you, somebody who has already been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. But it also says here that gracious words are a honeycomb. You don't want a mentor, unless you're going into Army boot camp or something, who's going to yell at you and belittle you and make you feel like a worm. You want somebody who's gracious, who's kind, who's understanding, who's supportive, who understands your weaknesses, your challenges, the fact that you've got kids and other people who have priorities for you as well, and you've got to balance and deal with all that. So you want somebody who's wise, but who's also gracious and understanding. That's number one. Number two, follow their advice. Whoever gives heed to instruction is wise. So we can't merely be entertained by the learning process. We can't be classroom junkies. We can't have a library of books on coaching, mentoring, and success and not take action. So number two, follow their advice. Number three, work really hard. So we listen to their advice, we make the plan, and then we work really hard. And I'm not sure I shared this one. Listen to this verse. The appetite of laborers works for them. Their hunger drives them on. Think about that. He's saying, if you're working, you're trying to accomplish something. If you want it really bad, you're really going to stay focused. You're going to go after it. And he uses the analogy of a worker whose hunger drives them to work hard in order to earn enough money, of course, to buy bread for the day. In the ancient times, laborers literally worked for enough food to sustain them for that day. So that's what he's saying. Your hunger drives you on. So in our case, and what it's talking about in terms of planning, things that we want for our lives, we got to really want them. We got to have that fire in the belly. We have to be passionate about it. Things have to be so important to us. We're willing to sacrifice for them. So work really hard. That's number 3. Number 4, trusting God, not your plans. Don't think just because you've put together an airtight business plan and you're working it really hard that all is going to fall into place. And listen to this again. This is back in verse 20. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord. So we have our part, absolutely. We got a plan, we got to work, but we can't depend upon our wisdom or our strength to bring it to pass. And then finally, number 5, when success comes, stay humble. That was the very first verse I read. Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. All of this in the context of planning. So as we think about where we're going with our lives and our careers, I would encourage you just go back to Proverbs 16 and look at some of this ancient wisdom that transcends anything that you can learn from a coach, a mentor, a book, or even a university. It's really, really good stuff. Now, let me share something else with you. It's just a little bit personal, and then we're going to move on and open up the mics for everybody else. I had one of those epiphany moments yesterday. Trina Hoffman came in to talk to me. She's got some big plans for her real estate career, and just wanted to talk through a few points and get my perspective on it. And in the course of it, we were talking about Coach Burt's Person of Interest seminar. And the first thing he says is you have to craft a message. You have to know what makes you different. You know, what is your unique contribution to the real estate world? And then, of course, once you identify that, you can go on and market it and create your identity. And she said to me, Frank, what is your message? Talking to me. And I had to take a deep breath because I have not known for a while. I used to know, and it just rolled off the tip of my tongue. So I help agents achieve at any level of aspiration. I'll take you from wherever you're at, brand new licensee, top producer, team leader, and I'll take you to wherever you want to go through coaching and training, et cetera, et cetera. I help agents achieve at any level of aspiration. Since the transition to EXP, I've been a little lost, trying to find my voice, engaged in a lot of activity, but not necessarily understanding my calling, my message, my unique contribution. What's this all about? Is it just activity, or, you know, you can have a fireworks, explosions going off everywhere. Doesn't do anything, but if you have a cannon, you know, and you direct and you focus all of that activity, it's much more successful. And it really kind of shook me up. I'm like, that's so basic. How have I missed that? And so I really started thinking about it, praying about it, and I have something I want to run it past you. You're the first human beings to hear this, other than my own ears. But I'm hopefully going to say it without stumbling too much. But here goes. Here's what I do. Here's my message. I teach real estate agents and loan officers how to achieve complete financial freedom in 3 years or less. By complete financial freedom, I mean all your bills are paid and you have plenty of money left over to do good things for the people that you love and the causes you believe in. All of this is funded by multiple streams of passive income, which make you work optional. That means you can spend all day with your kids or chase your grandkids. You can travel the world, indulge your hobbies and passions. You can continue to build your business empire, or any combination of the above, because complete financial freedom will turn these possibilities into your reality. That's it. Okay, it starts with a sentence. I teach agents and loan officers how to achieve complete financial freedom in 3 years or less. And then I go on to explain it. Does that make sense? Whew.
Sign me up, Frank.
Okay, you're all signed up. You're all signed up. In fact, I'm going to share this on Monday at 12:30. I'm going to go through this in detail, and you're going to see, oh my goodness, that's just not pie in the sky mumbo jumbo, something that sounds good. No, I'm going to actually show you in exquisite detail exactly how I deliver on that message. And I hope that you're going to find it as transformative as I do. And it's not just the XP. There's more levels to it, and I'll go through that in great detail. But I'm super excited about it. It was a light bulb moment for me yesterday, and I feel renewed and reborn. Like, okay, now I've got my flag. I've got my standard. What do I do for agents? And I have to say loan officers now, because Jackson Henry is becoming such an important part of my business. And you're going to see on Monday, those two are really meshing together and supporting my message. But anyways, not to give away too much in advance, but any feedback? How did that strike you? I teach agents and loan officers how to achieve complete financial freedom in 3 years or less. Does that sound like an attractive message? Does it make sense?
Sign me up.
Okay.
Sign me up.
All right. Kevin, Victoria, Tom, you're all in. I'm seeing lots of thumbs. Okay. All right. Well, I'll take that. Having said that, tell me what's going on in your world. What are your big wins? What are your struggles? What can we talk about that would be helpful to the group and helpful to you? Yes, Kevin, you go for it.
I've got a friend up here, and he decided to list his house. And I don't want you to be shocked, but he did not choose to use me as his listing agent. Now, I'll give him a point, because he's actually a real estate agent himself. So he listed it himself. So that's a partial thing. So instead, I'm hosting open houses for him. He's out of the country. I'm hosting open houses, and I'm determined to either help him sell that house, and it may be one of y'all come by and buy it, in which case there's probably nothing in it for me, or maybe we sell it to the neighbor and something good comes out of it. But it's the thing to do, and I got to do the thing to do. I got to do the right thing, whatever it is, and how that works out. So that's what I'm focused on right now. I don't have any buyers that I'm working on that are not under contract or whatever. So I am a restless rabbit.
Okay.
So that's me. And so I don't have a real question from that necessarily. That's what I'm working on. Listen, I will make one request. I'm going to make a request to everybody here. Guys, I have started a YouTube channel. And the beautiful thing about a YouTube channel is that it's out there on the interweb. The only little bad thing about it is that there's no viewers, and there's no viewers. So for what it's worth, if I share a message and say, would you please go look at one of my YouTubes and just sign up or click on it or say you viewed it or something, because you know how it works with the algorithm, right? Activity is the coin of the realm, and so you can really do me a solid just by going and viewing. And then if you tell me some feedback privately, if you wish, that's bonus. That's lanyard. Yes. But there you go. That's me. Thank you.
Okay, I love it, Kevin. And I'll tell you what I really like about what Kevin said is we're in kind of a dearth. That's a beekeeping term, when there's not a lot of pollen out there for the bees. Most of the flowers have already blossomed and they're kind of relying on the honey they stored up. It's kind of a dearth. It's in the real estate industry. It seems like the temperature has cooled down, the activity has dropped further, and we were already fewer transactions than last year, and last year fewer than the year before. It felt like a hot market because it was a seller's market. But the activity levels continue to drop, particularly now with the rising interest rates. And yet, Kevin's out there finding a way to stay in the game. hosting an open house on somebody else's listing. If that's what you have to do to give yourself an at-bat with potentially unrepresented buyers or neighbors who come by who may be wanting to talk about selling their home, stay in the game. Don't go into a cocoon. Don't stay in the house. Get out there, push yourself, be loud and proud. And sometimes stuff happens. It's not even seemingly a direct result of our efforts or of Kevin's open house, but other stuff will happen. It's crazy how that works. You get in the game and activity and get active, and that will be rewarded. Okay, love it. Who else? Who's got something going?
Well, Frank,
Yes, Victoria. Yeah,
well,
COVID lady. What's going on?
yeah, COVID lady. I'm trying to get my strength back. I'm telling you, this is not fun.
No.
I have been, it came on the 23rd of June.
Whew.
But
Oh my, you're way past the point where you should be getting your strength back.
well, I have those risk factors which
Yes.
complicate my recovery, but I'm much better. In fact, I was kind of thinking maybe I could come to potluck. I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
Well, you're
Because
certainly
I
not
love
contagious
Bananas
anymore.
Foster, man. I love Bananas Foster. I just want to say for me, I feel like I'm kind of on a roller coaster. I have these two buyers and we're going and we're looking, and one of them, I mean, I just wanted to slap him upside the head because it was the perfect house. Even his girlfriend, his pregnant girlfriend, thought it was the perfect house, and he didn't put an offer on it. So, and now they're both of them are just lying low. So I
Okay.
just like, okay, you know,
Well, buyers, it's funny how buyers went from being in a frenzy to get the house, and then all of a sudden now they're wary. They know the market has turned, and they don't, among other things, they don't want to get caught buying an overpriced house right now if the market corrects and drops. So we have gone from just a frenzy to a lot of fear right now on the part of buyers. So it's going to call for patience. And this is why we want to pack our pipeline with lots of buyers, with lots of sellers, when some of them drop out or some get fearful, that we still have some folks to work with. So never think I've got enough. You can never have enough in this business. Keep packing them in. Okay, I appreciate those thoughts, Victoria. Anybody else? Wendy, Amy, good to have you two online, as well as our regulars, Letty and Anastasia, Judith, Kelsey. Good to have y'all with us. All right, let's hear what the sage has to say. Okay, Tom.
Well, just on a couple of things that are going on here. Both of them are lots or unimproved property. And what I find is the partner in this, the wife, oh my gosh, she is doing more research than I would ever dream of doing. And have come up with the real estate sites that I've never ever heard of. But because of all of her hard work, they want to buy a lot. They want to buy several acres, so it's going to be $500,000 or more. And
Nice.
finally, I believe they finally found what they want. We hopefully will put an offer on today. But it's amazing how long you have to work with these buyers to get them to move forward on something or to find something they want. And even though things are active, it's like you said, Frank, they're a little apprehensive and things aren't selling the same way they were 5 months ago, I guess.
Yeah.
The other lot buyer, they want to buy a lot and they want to build a home and flip it, which they are out looking at them today. We sent them several yesterday that are meeting their criteria. And he's going back to work from a maternity leave at the end of August. So she wants to get a house started before he goes back to work, basically.
And this is a home to live in or a home to invest in?
It's an investment home. It's really to buy a lot, build a home, and flip it. It's the only thing she wants to do. They want to stay where they are. And if it works out well, continue. You know, and with all the issues going on with interest rates going up and the market changing, you know, it still seems to be, there's not any inventory out there. So putting a nice house on the market still has a good chance of selling.
Yes, yes.
I sure hope it does, because that's what we plan on doing. I just
So,
want a couple of things going on, is all.
yeah, so you kind of pull the curtain back on a lead source that's going to become increasingly important, and that is working with investors. Because when regular buyers and sellers get cold feet, it typically creates an expanding, interesting market for investors. You know, they're typically contrarian. When everybody else is buying, they're selling. When everyone else is selling, they're buying. And so if everybody else is getting cold feet, this may create an opportunity for investors. It's good to have a number of those in your pocket. So don't think, I'm not an investment guru, I don't want to work with them. But what investors want is really simple stuff. Most of it is the same thing that a buyer wants, because of an investor is looking at it through a buyer's eyes. What can I sell? What's going to be interesting to others? Or what can I lease out for a high price? And then the investment numbers, knowing the numbers they look at are pretty simple. Don't be intimidated by all the acronyms. It really, I'll tell you what, there's a rule called the 1% rule when working with investors, and this will serve you very well. And sometimes investors, you might even have to educate them about this if they've not heard this before. But if you can buy a property and rent it each month for 1% of the sale price of the home, that's presuming there's not a lot of renovations necessary, then that property typically is going to be a very good investment. And let me just describe that. If you can buy a $200,000 home and rent it for $2,000 a month, that's the 1%. If you purchase it for $300,000 and can rent it for $3,000, that's going to be a great investment. So that's a real simple one that doesn't confuse us. We don't even need a calculator. We can calculate 3% in our head. We can calculate 1%. And it's just a good rule of thumb. Thank you, Kevin. Somebody was listening.
Just wanted to add one more thing. All of us that are looking for how to get clients, I'm certainly in one of those people. One of these clients came from my sphere of influence, you know, making phone calls, and they said, basically it was like, oh yeah, we're looking for some property in the future to build on. And the second one came from the Geo Farm with the postcards and the letter from the hearts. So sphere of influence and Geo Farm, at least it's got a couple of them moving for me.
So the core sources are delivering. You'll find that true in any market, right? Sphere of influence, Geo Farm, online leads, demo farm. Just focus on these basics. That's where 90% of real estate business will always come from. But it's interesting, Tom, you made a comment. I think you said you were calling your sphere, calling a homeowner. I get Ricky Caruth's emails. How many of y'all do? Raise your hand if you get Ricky Caruth's emails. Okay, about half of us. We had him here in 2020. He came in about 5 minutes before COVID hit. And we had 400 people over at the Marriott here in the Woodlands to hear Ricky Caruth. He bills himself as America's real estate coach. He was a free real estate coach. He was with Remax at the time. He's since joined EXP, but he sends out these emails all the time telling us what he's doing and what he believes in. Yesterday, here's what he said. He's having the best year ever. He loves this market. That's because the extended days on market for inventory has created more inventory. More inventory gives you more at-bats with buyers. I mean, if a home sells the first day, it basically dries up as a lead source. If you can get it on the market for 15 or 20 days, you get potentially open houses you can host, lots of other buyers, sign calls, that kind of stuff to potentially generate more business. And then he asked the question, and I think he has like 30 active listings. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's about what he said. Then he asked, how do you think we got 30 active listings? And then he answered the question. He has 2 people on his team and their full-time job is to call homeowners. That's it. And I realize most of us like, well, I don't have the capacity to hire 2 people full-time, but guess what? If you have free time, and by that I mean you're not face-to-face with a buyer or seller, why don't you get on the phone and start calling homeowners and be your own telemarketer? It's not complicated. The phone call goes something like this. So, hello, Miss Jones. This is Frank with eXp Realty. I'm just calling to check if you have any interest in selling your home now or sometime later this year. That's it. And if you want to go further, you can say you're probably aware there's a shortage of inventory right now. Home prices are at historically high levels. You can probably sell your home on a timetable that you're comfortable with. Are you thinking about selling? Would you like to sell? Do you know anybody who does? By the way, and we're talking, let's just say calling complete strangers. How many strangers do you think you would have to have that conversation with before somebody said, yeah, I think we might sell? Maybe not till September, maybe not till November, but yeah, we've been thinking about it. How many people you have to talk to before you think you get a live one like that? 100. Okay, Blythe, I like that. Talk to 100. How long would it take to talk to 100 people? Well, first of all, you might have to dial 300 to talk to 100, right? Because most people don't answer their phones. Okay, so let's just acknowledge that. And to dial 300 people, my goodness, if you could dial, 75 in a day, that would take you 4 full days. That's a lot of work. Who's got 4 full days? So let's call it 2 weeks. Just giving it a couple hours a day to talk to 100 people to turn up one person who's interested in selling their home. Okay. And let's say that you have to find 2 of those people to get one to actually list with you. Now you've spent an entire month of a couple hours a day prospecting to come up with one new listing. Is that worth your time? If you're a professional full-time real estate agent, why not? Right? That's what we do. And in this market, our average sale price now is over $400,000. I can calculate 3%. That's about a $12,000 commission. You get one of those a month. You're well into 6 figures. So you see, this business it's easy and it's hard. It's easy to understand what to do. It's hard to actually do it. It's hard to discipline yourself to pick up the phone and make those dials for 2 hours a day. That, Ricky Carruth has built himself not just a 6-figure annual income, he's well into 7 figures, probably multiple 7 figures, because he figured that out. He made the dials when he was a solo agent. And as he grew his business and had cash flow, he reinvested and hired people to make those dials. But there's never, ever a substitute for proactive lead generation, putting yourself out there, initiating contact. And I know a lot of us are distracted by other things, and I'm really talking to myself because I'm a planner, I'm a teacher by nature. That means I would rather sit down and write a business plan than actually do anything about it, okay? That's my great temptation. I love that. I got a big glass board on my wall. I love to go over here and just dream and think and, imagine what could happen. But it's actually picking up the phone. It's the face-to-face or voice-to-voice contact, getting in the mix with potential buyers and sellers. That's the highest dollar productive activity you could be engaged with. So don't think that just because you're doing stuff, you're going to be making good money. Activity, any kind of activity, will always generate some kind of response. But if you're engaged in highly dollar productive activities, you're going to get the best response. So look for opportunities. How can I reach out to sellers? you know, you can well, we need phone numbers. Probably the simplest way, you know, go to the Red-X or one of those companies like that, where you can actually pull GeoFarm list and they'll give you phone numbers. Remind, thank you, Kevin, for that. Remind does exactly the same thing, very inexpensively, and it gives you opportunities. It gives you at bats. Okay, love it. I feel like I'm going on rants today, but I'm fired up. I'm really excited. I was driving home last night. I had a business dinner down in the Galleria, and man, it was exciting. And I was driving home. I called Mary to give her a report. She says, "Have you been drinking?" She says, you're like way out of control here." I said, "No, honey, I promise. This is just natural adrenaline. You know, I'm just super excited about stuff that's happening in our business." So, and I'll tell you some of that on Monday. I'll tell you how all this is working together and coming together, and pretty cool stuff. All right, anybody else? What's going on? Good, bad, or otherwise? Yes, Letty.
I wanted to make a comment on our POI meeting the other day. We were talking about giving out cards and you know, just and postcards and email and everything. Well, after I'd left that meeting, I listened to a voicemail, and it was from a lady that I met last fall, last year, and at a Hobby Lobby there on the Kirkendall. And she, when we met, you know, we just got along. I gave her my card. You know, she had already bought a house like probably a year ago from that day. And she was just, she found it. She said, I had kept it, but I came across your card. I was looking for it. Well, long story short is she wanted to let me know that her neighbor's nephew is going to be looking for rental. He's coming in from California. And she said, "I thought of you. I keep looking for your card." And um, now, when her and I talked yesterday a little bit, she had already given him, or the aunt, the number to her realtor that helped them. You know, this is prior to her meeting me. And but then when she thought about, because that was just an automatic, well, this is who helped us. Then she thought of me, and then she said, I, you know, wanted to talk to you, see if you were good with me giving him. I said, absolutely. Well, I felt kind of deflated afterwards when she did tell me, well, she didn't tell me in the beginning, I already gave him, you know, the number to, you know, our realtor. And I said, you know what, you know, kind of, I was like, well, what is she telling me this for? Right. But then I said, no, I said, you know what, that's great. I said, obviously, you know, you would recommend whoever helped you, but, you know, tell him this, that, you know, that I recommend him to interview at least 3 realtors. I would like to
Yeah,
apply for the job.
that's good.
And she was like, oh, Letty, I didn't even think about that. I said, yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I understand you giving him the number, but I said, I would like to, you know, and I recommend minimum 3. And so she just shifted her whole perspective on that. And I said, and see who he works well with and who's, you know, and
Yeah.
so I didn't let it go. I wasn't, you know, disappointed for very long, because I just said, you know, I'm here to, you know, I said, a lot of people, you know, realtors may not want to deal with a lease. I said, I will help him, you know,
Yes.
so that was kind of, plus I was going to email the crowd and say, hey, this was a card I passed out, you know, just a lady that I met. We were looking at welcome those fall signs, you know, and everything. But
Yes.
I'm seeing a little bit of fruit of that, you know, like things that I've done. And that's because I don't do it often, you know, and I have to remind myself to do it. So that was kind of a good,
Well,
I don't
I
know where.
love it. Did you all follow that chain of relationship? It was a stranger's neighbor's nephew. I mean, that is about as long shot as you can get in this business. That's not a cousin, it's not a neighbor, it's not a former client or customer. It's a stranger's neighbor's nephew. But again, it just makes the point. Letty is out there passing out cards. She's
Mhm.
not a secret agent. She's on duty. She's looking for conversations, looking for opportunities. Most of those will turn into nothing, but it's a numbers game. And if you get enough of those out there, have enough conversations, stuff will happen. Letty, do you want to add something else there?
Yeah, and the thing about it, again, she was a total stranger at Hobby Lobby, but when she left the voicemail, she said, she had to. I knew exactly who she was. I mean, when she said Hobby Lobby with the welcome signs, I knew exactly. I remember the conversation. But so she explained everything. She said, I met you. When I saw you were really, you had conversation with me. That I was in a really funk period that time. We were new to Houston. I didn't know anyone, and I had just encouraged her. I said, I'd love to have coffee with you. And it was like, so she reminded me that I was just there for her. Like, she
Yeah.
goes, since then, we've joined a church. I know my neighbors now. I mean, she was kind of giving me a little, review, but I had really just, connected with her and just encouraged her. I said, I'm here all the time. I said, in the spring area. I said, I will meet with you. So it was just something that she didn't forget, that I was there at that moment for her. So that was kind of a plus.
So Letty, more importantly, Hobby Lobby sells cherry mashes. That is my favorite candy in the entire world. When I could barely walk, my mom would give me a nickel and we'd walk to the Safeway and I'd buy a cherry mash. Now, the only place you can find them anywhere within 100 miles is Hobby Lobby. So the rule is, when you go there, in addition to thinking about real estate prospects, think about Paul Frank. $1.79, you can put a big smile on my face.
I'll
And
have
there's
to
a
find out
hobby.
what those are, because what I get at Hobby Lobby are the cinnamon squared suckers. I don't know what they're even called, but they're cinnamon flavor and they're square
Oh, are they
lollipops.
red?
They're red.
Oh, no, I'm not old enough for those things. No, my goodness gracious. No, I don't like
That's
those. You really
Yeah,
like those, huh?
I'll grab them at the register before I leave, but I'll remember
Yes,
that.
that's where the cherry mashes are up by the register. But there's a Hobby Lobby 2 miles from the office here, but I just can't bear to go in a Hobby Lobby. It's just too crafty. It just reminds me of stuff my wife is going to be making and sticking on the walls at the house, and it just puts me into the heebie-jeebie mode. So you ladies, think about that when you think about me or Frank when you go into Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, Blythe, Rochelle, and I will go. We'll do the trips for you.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate that. All right, who else got something going on?
So
Kevin?
one thing real quick, Letty mentioned we are trying to get this to maximize the returns on our POI training from Coach Burt. But our
Yes.
buddy, Mr. Bill Cochran, has redefined himself. And one of his revelations the other day was that his whole business career, he was Bill Cochran. He's Bill Cochran in the community. And it's when he came into real estate, because the name on his license was William, he kind of renamed himself William.
Yes.
And we encouraged him yesterday, and he has taken it. And you can see by his name on the call,
Bill
this
Cochran.
is Mr. Bill Cochran Jr. And look out, because Bill's in the house. And it's I think it was brilliant, and hats off to Trina for coming and having that visit with you, Frank.
Yes.
This is the essential question, guys. What are we doing? Because if you can't explain it to your wife or your kids or to a client, take time to figure it out. Because if you can't tell somebody what the heck you're doing, you won't come across with the authenticity. And part of that is what you're doing is who you are. And he is Bill Cochran, and he's well known for that. So thank you for that.
Love it.
That thing. And he put a note in the chat there to take 10 business cards and don't come home until you've given them out. And I like that. I think I'm going to go take them with me today. And by the way, folks, I put my link to my YouTube channel in the chat if you want to click on that when you get time. They're 2-minute videos, so they're real short, but there's a link there. But well done, Bill. Good job.
That link will be gone when we sign off. So do what I did. I already clicked on it and went over there and already subscribed. So you can do that without losing the meeting here. So Kevin, tell us before you go here, what is your message?
My message is that I help people buying and selling real estate. When they're ready for it, I'm ready to help them. I've got the skills they need. I have I can help investors. I can do the math. I'm fluent in all aspects, but I really do care about the people that are my clients, and I'd like to help them with whatever their needs are, whether it's getting an investment home, getting a retirement home, you name it. I like helping people. I tell people I'm in the ultimate helping profession because I help people change the next chapter of their life. So that's who I am. I'm the realtor guy in the fedora, and I'm here to help people. If I'm joking with people, I'll say I have a ministry for homeless people. And they go, oh, that is wonderful. What do you do? And I say, well, I sell them houses. I don't mean to sound too snarky, but I really enjoy that part. So that's me.
All right. Very good. Anybody else in the POI training have your message crafted that you could share with us? All right. Work on it. Work on it. We want to hear it. Next week, we want to hear them. Okay. By the way, I think Tom had brought up earlier, somebody mentioned the difficulties with financing these days. And I don't know if you heard this yet, but two big mortgage companies declared that they're going out of business yesterday. Sprout Mortgage, whom we use as one of our dozen wholesale lenders at Jackson Henry, and then FGMC, which is, again, been around for decades in the mortgage industry. Both of them closed their doors yesterday. So it is a scary time in the finance world. And I'll put in a shameless plug here. At Jackson Henry, we're not going out of business. We are going and blowing and growing and having a great time. We're hiring and expanding, had a record month in June, and expect to actually break records every month going forward. So I think your clients are going to be in good hands with us, and we'll navigate, some of these tricky waters about companies that may or may not be financially stable for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Dario's joined us. That's awesome. Anybody else have something they want to jump in here on? We're just about to wrap up for the day, but I want to give you an opportunity.
Hey, Frank, I got one more thing, and that is the mortgage rates fell again last week, and they've fallen the last couple weeks. I saw yesterday it was 5.74. And just my encouragement to people is don't get psyched out by the gloom and doom national news. There is a downtrend a little bit across the country. There is a lot of negative news, but you don't need to participate. Frank said it real well. Yeah. Any of our shares of the whole market is infinitesimal. So forget the market. You just sell houses one at a time, and you tell people you will get them the best, most competitive rate. And these rates are still below 6%. That's historically low. Don't get psyched out by the national news. Get the house you want, and the appreciation. I run the stats on the Woodlands. The median price, we had 50 homes sell last week. The median price was $620. Last October, the median price was $460.
Whew.
$460, $620.
Yeah.
Forget the interest rate. You either own a house or you wish you owned a house. This is not complicated. We don't need complicated math. Let's do this, and let's get people, because the homeowners are being separated. You're paying for a mortgage. It's either yours or your landlord's. Let's do this.
All right. Appreciate that, Kevin. Let me just remind everybody that we're starting Exotic Loan Products with Shannon Stalinsky in just a few minutes. If you're already in the office, great. If you want to log in, we'll be broadcasting that at 10 o'clock. Dario is going to do his how to interview a broker class at 11. And then please plan to join us on site. Whip up something, stop by the deli and grab something, go through the drive-through, get a bag of tacos or fried chicken, something, and bring it on. I'm going to do bananas Foster for our potluck today. I've also got about 6 pounds of chicken thighs. I'm going to dip in some Frank's hot sauce and butter and bake those in the oven. So bring something, throw it on the table, and enjoy our company. And so to sign off, I'm going to state my message one more time. I need some muscle memory practice here, but I help real estate agents and loan officers achieve complete financial freedom in 3 years or less. Complete financial freedom means all your bills are paid and you have plenty of money left over to do good things for the people you love and support the causes that are important to you. All of this is made possible by multiple streams of passive income so that you are now work optional. That means you can spend day with your kids or your grandkids or travel the world, indulge your hobbies or passions, continue to build your business empire, or any combination of the above. Complete financial freedom means that all these options are now your reality. There we go. All right. I'm gonna keep saying it until I'm sick of hearing it. But unless and I'm open to your feedback, because I'm just crafting it, and I'd love to hear how it comes across. But we'll go into detail on that on Monday at 12:30. Power Monday, of course, is Monday. And then I'll just, since you're here, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, working with buyers with Cheryl Vecchio, another great class. Our training calendar is as robust and as helpful as it's ever been. So please
Greg,
plug in at every opportunity that's relevant to your plan. Last word, Victoria?
I just want to say, why don't you take your statement and make it into poetry?
Into poetry. Oh, I learned that lesson. I'm going back to roses are red and violets are blue. Okay, guys. Well, appreciate you joining. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I look forward to seeing you, if not sooner, than for potluck at noon today. Take care.